I do think some people are like, I don't know, I get this thing in the mail and then I have to fill out
Yeah.
the paper and then
And then you
I'm,
get that
oh,
oh crap moment when like you actually go put your taxes into TurboTax and you're like, what the what?
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so happy you're here with us today because I have brought another incredible guest here to the podcast. Kimberly Tara, welcome.
Hello.
We are so excited you're here.
Oh, I'm so excited.
Yay. Well, we're going to nerd out a little bit today. We're talking finance. We're talking money. We're talking about being a real business owner and really owning your business strategy. So I'm super excited. Kimberly is a CPA, certified tax coach. She has her own firm and has been doing that for over 10 years and has recently launched something called TaxMove, which we're going to talk a little bit more about, that I'm so excited for everyone to take a peek at. So thank you for being here today. This is going to be such a fun conversation.
It is. And thank you for having me and just, helping support me in this endeavor to get more tax knowledge and education out there, because I know that it's not the sexiest topic. It's not what everybody wants to listen to, but my goal is to make it fun and digestible. And I think it's going to be a great conversation today.
I love it. Well, I'm glad that we're not straying away from it. I feel like sometimes we're like, oh, we can't talk taxes or we can't talk money because we don't want to say the wrong thing. And I've seen that time and time again, especially in our industry, more so than maybe other industries.
For sure.
We're going to get into it today.
We're just,
which is
like I don't really have a filter. There's not much I won't share. Just having been in this business for so long, like I grew up where it was like, you don't talk about money outside of our house. We at least talked about money inside of my house, but you never talked about it outside. And now I'm like, what do you want to know? Do you want to know that like we paid off $200,000 worth of student loans in less than 10 years while also owning homes? Or do you want to know about like how much I have in my savings? Like it's just, I think that somebody has to be the leader to say that this is okay to have these conversations. And the biggest thing is not comparing yourself to others, but what can you take away as a piece of knowledge and education so that you can just do better because you know more.
I love that. I love that so much. Okay, so we're going to dive into just some fun rapid fires. Everyone gets to know you real quick. A little money talk here. Spender or saver?
Saver.
Saver. I knew your answer before you said it.
Like not ridiculously. I think that's like, I do want people to always know that like, I'm not like a huge proponent of like Dave Ramsey and his methods. I think that there's a certain person out there where they do benefit, but like I still take multiple vacations every year. We drive decent cars. We have a mortgage on our home, right? Like I think that there is good debt out there, but I also believe in like being prepared because I don't think that you shouldn't rely on GoFundMe's or somebody to bail you out. You should be prepared.
Right. Yeah, love that. Okay. Well, on the opposite side, what is the most fun purchase you've made lately?
Oh, it's not a big purchase actually, but it's an ice cream maker. I have 4 little kids. They're 9, 7, 5, and about to turn 4. And they have been like, we're a dye-free family. I have 2 on the spectrum. And so they've been wanting to like try these different recipes. And so I broke down and bought us like a 2-quart ice cream countertop maker for the summer.
Oh my gosh, you're such a fun mom. You win.
I really don't know if my kids would tell you that. Like my husband's an engineer. I'm a CPA. We're a pretty nerdy household, but that's what gets everybody excited on a Friday night is the ice cream maker.
An ice cream maker. I mean, I love that. I remember as a kid, like the old school one that was like in a bucket. And you had to, like,
those are
turn
making a comeback. I walked into a Walmart the other day for the first time in who knows how long. And I was like, it was like retro ice cream maker or something. They were charging a ridiculous amount for it.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, I like the countertop version. I'm here for that.
It's very sleek. It's very steel. It like kind of just like fits in with the rest of our appliances.
I love it. Oh, I love this. Okay. What is something you are saving for?
I just decided this, so this is very like fresh off the press.
Yeah.
I have this dream, and I have coaches, right? Like I have a scaling coach, and so I bounce money ideas off of her, and she's like, what are Kimberly's goals, right? Because it's always been like, what are the firm's goals or my team's goals or our goals for our clients? And I have this goal of spending the entire summer in Italy the year that I turn 40. And like our base would be in Italy, and we would just go around Europe, and my kids will be there, and my team will come over, and friends will hopefully come visit us. So it's 3 months basically of like, we have to pay to keep our house here. I'm not renting my house out for 3 months.
Yeah.
And I have to be able to take a family of 6 over there.
Yes.
For 3 months. And it feels really big and lofty, but something that I'm super excited about. It's like a dream.
I feel like, when you have big goals like that, it's a little extra motivation to be like,
It is.
all right, I got to find a way to make this work because I need those 3 months in Italy.
It is. And like, I'm an Enneagram 3 high achiever. So like now I've said it out loud. I'm like, I can't let all you people down by not doing it. And I'm like, I'm not letting you down. I know that. But like, I am not going to back down. And the other thing is like, I'm willing to work hard to get that. Like, I'm not like a woo-woo, I'm going to manifest it. I'm like, okay, here's what I want to do. Here's what I need to do to make that a reality. Here's the numbers. And then I reverse engineer it. And I'll be 36 this summer. So I've got about I've got 4 years till that's a reality. I've got about probably 2.5 until like I really need to be like, are we there? What's the plan? Because we need to start actually planning. Yep.
Oh my gosh.
I
okay.
know.
Well, if you want to adopt me, I'm available in 4 years to come along.
My goal is that we have a house big enough where if our friends just pay to fly over, they will have a place to stay, and you are more than welcome.
Oh my gosh. What a dream. That sounds amazing. Okay. Cheering you on towards that goal. You're going to have to report back. And
yes, I will report back happily.
Okay. And then favorite social platform to hang out on?
None.
None of the above.
Like Facebook, like again, I'm about to be 36. So like Facebook is my generation. So like if I don't get on social media a lot, but if I do, that's like naturally where I'm going to go. But we do use Instagram for business the most because that's where most everybody hangs out now.
Yeah. I feel ya. Well, tell us a little bit about your story. Like we know dreams to Italy. We've got the ice cream maker, mom of 4. But how did you end up, being a CPA and focusing on tax strategy? Who do you work with today? I want to hear like how you got to where you are.
Cool. Yeah. So it actually goes back to college. I was a chemical engineering major for the first 3.5 years before I switched to accounting.
Okay.
I tried it. That was like, again, I'm a type A, Enneagram 3 planner. That was a very like, my life is over, but it wasn't. And it wasn't time wasted because I met my husband. He's a mechanical engineer. So we tutored for the College of Engineering together. Like when I tell you we are a nerdy family, like we are a nerdy family. That's how we met. And I had done 2 internships as a chemical engineer and really just knew that it wasn't my calling, but felt a lot of that guilt, fear, shame coming up about like, I'm so far down the road, but it is a tough curriculum. And if you don't love it, it's really hard to get through. And it's still very male dominated. So it wasn't really conducive to having a family, but I was going to figure that out. And I just kind of needed a little break. So I took an elective to fulfill an elective requirement. And it was accounting for non-business majors. And I was like, this will just be easy, give my brain a break. And I sat in that class and I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
This is it.
This right here is kismet. And so within 2 weeks, I had changed my major. My advisor was like, I don't see you registered for any engineering classes next spring. And I'm like, nope, sorry, switching. Finished, took 21 hours the next semester because intro business classes were a walk in the park compared to my junior level engineering classes. And finished a 1.5 years later with a job offer, internships in the accounting space, did the whole public accounting thing, was going to make partner in 9 years because the next person who had made partner was 10 years. So I was like, well, I'm going to do it in 9 because that tells you who I am. And so it was great. I picked a medium-sized public accounting firm because the accounting rules, and I had interned with the largest chemical company in the world, and I didn't want that culture. I wanted to be a little bit of a bigger fish in a smaller pond, and I'm so glad that I did that because that exposed me to audit and forensic accounting and litigation support and tax, and I really got to see that. And so ultimately, I wound up in the litigation support and tax department, and I remember one night, we were sitting and we had moved offices and there was it was glass for the walls to the manager's offices we could see in. And so she had her door closed, but it was like 9:00 at night, dark out during tax season. And she's FaceTiming her son to bed, her 3-year-old to bed, and she's pregnant with her second. And this was the 4th night in a row that she had done this. And it just hit me like in that moment that I was going after something that was directly at odds with what I wanted in my personal life, because I was going to make partner in 9 years, and I was also going to have 2 kids by the age of 30.
Because there was a plan.
I'm such a planner. And I realized, I was like, that's not actually gonna work. Like, doing both of those individually is hard. There's no way that I can actually do both of them at the same time. And so that was a moment where I was like, you know what? I actually don't think I want to make partner in public accounting. I don't think that this is like the end all be all for me. And I always knew at some point that I was going to have my own business, because I grew up as the child of 2 entrepreneurs. And so at 25, I resigned. We moved from Atlanta to New Orleans, and I started the Tara CPA firm, and then found out I was 10 weeks pregnant.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. 2016 was a year. It was a year. And so now my firm has gone through many iterations, right? And I like to say that I did all the things wrong in the beginning that I sometimes help our clients work through, right? I was undercharging and over delivering and doing all the things instead of just honing in on the thing that I did really well. And so what happened was, I made 6 figures in 12 months, but I was burnt out and pregnant again 18 months in. And I was like, I could just be in public accounting with a lot less stress about having to find new clients and people paying their bills and all the things that, that you have to worry about. And so that was when I became a certified tax coach. And for me, I saw the value that it brought clients, right? Like, you don't want to pay to have your tax return prepared, because you're like, the IRS tells me I have to do this, so now I got to pay someone because it's too complicated. Whereas tax strategy is putting money back in your pocket, right? So it not only were my clients just floored by what I could do for them with this new knowledge and training, I loved it because I was giving them something, and that gave me life. And I also think that my ex-engineering brain loves the puzzle pieces of creating that tax strategy for them, right? There's a little bit of that still in me. And so I always thought I was going to be a solopreneur, but 4 kids later, 10 years later, we're a team of 6, and we serve business owners who are profiting $75,000 or more annually. And we take taxes off of their plate so that, they can focus on making more money, and we focus on helping them keep more money.
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that so much. Okay. So before we get into actually talking some tax strategy, because we're going to get into
we're going to do that.
Yeah, I think it's really important to also just talk about who you're serving. And I think sometimes in direct sales, we do have kind of that mindset of are we a real business? I could see people listening right now thinking, I don't know if this is the episode for me. I don't know if I'm the person that needs to hear this. So I'd love your perspective on that, because there's so many people out there that are affiliates or social sellers or influencers, and direct sales kind of fills in that category where it's I'm kind of doing this on the side a little bit. I have aspirations of making it full time, but I have this company, and our parent company is taking care of things for me. So is this even something I need to pay attention to?
Yep. I love that question. This is something, and we'll talk about TaxMove, which is a software that I've just developed with all my expertise and just the years that I've seen. It's a different. So when we're working with our done for you clients, they are business owners, right? They are, hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue a year. Some of them are solopreneurs. Most of them have 1 to 5 employees, right? Okay. So they really do identify as a business owner, entrepreneur, CEO, right? They embody that. What I'm learning as we target this group of business owners that have net income between $25,000 and $75,000. And remember, net income is when we take revenue, all the money that you make minus expenses. So that would be the 1099 NEC that you get from your parent company, right? That's your revenue. And then you have all of your expenses, right? Mileage, travel, marketing, if you have a VA, right? Things like that. What's left over is our net income. And that's what you are taxed on by the IRS. And so because you are getting that 1099 NEC and not a W-2 on payroll, in the eyes of the IRS, you are a business owner in the way that you file taxes. And so whether you call yourself a direct seller, a freelancer, a side hustler, whatever it is, an affiliate, a social seller, You are, in essence, a business owner. And so everything that Becky and I are going to talk about today applies to you because you are a business owner in the eyes of the IRS. And so you should absolutely be taking advantage of tax strategy and tax planning and all the things.
Okay, I love this. And I love just to set that tone because
Yeah.
I do think some people are like, I don't know, I get this thing in the mail and
not
then I
me.
have to fill out the paper and then
And
like
then you get that
oh
oh
no.
crap moment when like you actually go put your taxes into TurboTax and you're like, what the what?
Yeah. Yes, exactly.
It's happened to everybody, right? Like, I think that's something too that we should talk more about, Becky, right? Is like, you're not alone if you don't know what to do. If you're like, I get this paper and I don't know who to turn to. TurboTax just told me I have this outrageous bill that I didn't expect. I didn't make my quarterly estimated tax payments. I didn't know I had to do that. I didn't know how much to pay. Like, if you are feeling all of those feelings, I promise you, you're not alone. I promise.
Yeah. Well, I think money gives us those feelings.
Yeah.
It's like one of those topics where it's like, oh, should we talk about this? Or should I admit that I'm like clueless and I really have no idea what I'm doing over here? So as you're working with clients, I'm sure this comes up a lot because people are like, oh, tax time? Like,
Yeah,
like,
especially because we do tend to work with a lot of women. We do have some male clients. We have a lot of like husband-wife teams, things like that. But yeah, and I think it just hits women extra hard because of just the way that like we were kind of conditioned growing up, you know, if you're kind of between the ages of like 30 and 50. And so it's a new day. And I also believe, you know, as a mom of kids, so like I have 3 boys. And so my duty in life is to send them off to be future spouses who help their wives, and maybe their wives are the breadwinners, right? Like all these things. And it's also my job to make sure that they are fully educated. And so I believe that the more that we can impact women, especially as business owners, and remember, if you're a direct seller, you are a business owner, you get to be part of that movement that shows your kids, if you have them, like, look, I can be a mom and I can have a business. And I want you to own that you have a business, that you run a business if you were a direct seller. And I want you to be so confident in how you understand money and you talk about money and you talk about finances and taxes, because that's what's going to empower your kids.
I love that. And I love that mindset, right? Like they're always watching. And we have a lot of money conversations in our house. My husband and I work together. And my kids some days will be like, so how much money did you make today, Mom? You know,
my dad said, I'm like, you don't go out and say that in front of people. Like, it's not that it's like, I'm like, but my 9-year-old, my sweet 9-year-old is on the spectrum. And so we don't have a filter and we're not good with like those social cues. And I'm like, don't go around saying that. But I don't know if you and your husband do this, but I'm very like, hey, like we made this today. Like if they see a number, I'm like, but don't forget, I've got to get paid. Miss Becca has to get paid. I have to pay all my team. We have these expenses. Like just because you see, like they see the number in the bank account, they're like, wow, that's a lot of money. And I'm like, yeah, but that's 3 months worth of our expenses. And if something happens, we need that. So it doesn't mean that I can just go out and spend it.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Okay. So as we're talking about money and taxes and all of these things, are there some mindset shifts that you feel like direct sellers in particular need to have entering this conversation before we even like get into it?
Oh my gosh, yes. Thank you for asking this question. I didn't even know you were going to ask this question, but I love this question. Okay, you need to get in the mindset of being a business owner. Because if you continue to think of yourself as an employee, right? And most of us at some point have had some sort of W-2 paying job, right? Like even if you just worked a summer or something like that and your taxes come out, you have to put on that business owner mind hat so that your mind says, how do I turn every expense into a business expense?
Okay.
Right? Because unfortunately, that is where I see business owners who even call themselves business owners are like, I had no idea I could write that off. And I'm like, really? Like, like, how would you not? You know? So that's the first step. The other mindset that I need you to be in is, again, especially if you don't identify as a business owner, that's okay. But I want you to be keeping track of your revenue and expenses weekly and monthly, because you can't make data-driven decisions. You can't make future decisions. You can't invest in a coach or a program that's going to help you learn how to market better, advertise better. You don't know if you can afford that parent conference that they're hosting. Can you afford to go there, right? And if you're not keeping track of your numbers, you are not only missing data-driven decisions, but you also are probably missing out on expenses. Because I don't know about you, Becky, but I can't remember what I did last week, much less what I did 6 months ago. And so if I don't log it, right, and keep track of it and make sure I capture it, then I'm missing out on deducting that expense, which means I'm paying more in taxes.
Right.
So I really need you to get comfortable with saying, I'm a business owner.
Yeah.
Could this expense potentially be a qualified deduction for tax purposes? How did this benefit the business? How did this ordinary and necessary expense benefit my business and my revenue? And I need to track it, because no one can help me get a hold of my money, of my finances, of my tax situation if I don't have any numbers to give them. And you can't just keep saying, but numbers scare me, but I'm not good with numbers. We have to move past that and say, I got to put my big girl panties on and I got to do this.
All right, a little real talk. If your business lives on social media, you don't own it. Oh My High gives direct sellers a real website that's actually yours. Your links, your content, your personal brand, your email list. Not a replicated page that looks like everyone else's. We built it specifically for people just like you. There's no tech skills required. And as a podcast listener, get a free Capture and Convert homepage when you get started today. Visit the link in the show notes for the promo code or check it out over at ohmyhigh.com. Now, back to the episode. Yeah. Okay, so let's just go there next. I want to talk about deductions. And because we kind of already started down that path, right? So this is like fresh on my mind. So this is, you'll appreciate this one. My husband does most of our finances. I do more of our sales and marketing. He does more ops, finance, legal, like that kind of stuff, tech. And I just bought a new laptop. And I was like, oh, hold on. I have a Costco gift card and I have like the coupon they send you in the mail with the rebate, and I'm going to use these to buy my laptop. And he was like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Because this is a business expense. We are not using our personal gift cards and rebate checks we get in the mail to go buy the laptop, because this is 100% a business expense. And I was like, oh, okay, you're right. I'll save that and I'll use that for something else another day.
I mean, I even do things like, so we get airline points because I travel for business. My team travels out to see me. And then I use those points to help buy children's tickets. Now, my goal is always, how can any travel be a business deduction, right? But like, I don't currently have my 3-year-old employed in the business. So her ticket is not a write-off, but rest assured, I'm going to use points for her ticket, right? I'm not going to pay for it,
not yours.
Personally. Not mine. No, mine's a business expense.
Like, oh, I got points. I'll use my points. No, you're not going to use points. You're paying cash for that, because that is a business expense. So some of those are obvious, like flights, places, a new laptop. But what are maybe some of those other things that we have in our life that we should be thinking about as deductions that are going to help us when it comes time for taxes?
Okay, so I'm going to push back a little bit and say that those aren't always obvious. We have had clients come to us. And so if you're listening and you're like, oh gosh, I didn't know that should be obvious. Like, I've actually had tons of clients that wasn't obvious. They're like, I'm like, well, wait, you traveled for a conference. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, well, why isn't that on here? And so all of like your travel for work is deductible. If you're having a meal with someone, like let's say there's another direct seller in your area, whether they're with a competitor or it's an upline or a downline, right? Like all of those things, that's a business deduction, right? Because you've talked business. That's the purpose of meeting with them. Another one that I see overlooked is mileage. And sometimes that's because they're like, I don't want to track it, or I don't drive that much. But like, you would be so surprised how much that mileage helps you at the end, right? Like every little bit adds up. I actually do see laptops missed, or iPads, especially with like my direct sellers, social sellers, influencer groups. I want to see you taking like 90% of your cell phone bill and cost of your cell phone, because you're probably doing the majority of your work from your phone, whether that's creating content, posting content, messaging people, fulfilling orders, texting back and forth, right? Like you are doing so much of it from your phone. I want to see you taking the majority of both your bill and the actual cost of your phone.
The phone. Okay.
Right? Another one that I see missed a lot is supplies. So like if you're going to Target, maybe you're hosting like a little party, you're buying food, you're buying decor, things like that, right? That's all a cost of doing the thing that's going to bring in your revenue. and marketing. And when I say marketing, one that I see underutilized a lot is like sponsorships. So let's say you have a child, they have a little league soccer team and they're asking for sponsors. Or maybe you have a daughter who does dance and they want sponsors in the program, right? I want you to make sure that your business is sponsoring it, because I'll see people and it's like, mom and dad love you. And I'm like, where's the business, right? Where's the business promotion? Because what happens is that's not a charitable contribution or sponsorship anymore, right? Yeah. That is marketing, and you get a dollar for dollar deduction. So if it's a charity that maybe you're donating some product to, right? You don't get to deduct. Let's talk about that. Like, would you say a lot of your direct sellers have like some products that they might don't like physical products?
They're doing like a basket for a raffle.
Perfect. Whether it's for a church or a school, right? Or something like that. Let's talk about that. You can deduct the cost of those products, right? Because you had to buy the products and anything that you had to do for the basket. And so I want you to deduct that as supplies. I don't want you to call it donations, because donations actually aren't as beneficial for you from a tax perspective.
Okay. Okay.
And so I want you to call it marketing, advertising, supplies, right? Whatever that is. Same with sponsoring a team, right? I want you to make sure that like your logo or like something about you is on their shirt sleeve or the back of the shirt, or there's a sign or they're shouting you out, right? Like I want you to be like, look, I am so happy to give you $500 to use however you want, but we're going to have to talk about how are you going to promote my business, because that's the only way I'm going to do it. And I've never had any coach, school, company come back and say no. Right? Yeah. They're like, yes, we want your money. And if you need a little logo or a sign, we got you. Like, go get some yard signs printed. Those are so cheap, right? And start plopping them around. So I want you to get into like thinking about like, how do I turn this into a business expense and make it for me? But I would say that those, in home office, I would say that those, making sure you're deducting your home office for the business where you do it, those are probably the most missed opportunities that I see specifically in this niche.
Okay. I love this. I love this so much. And so many of these, I'm like, oh, I resonate with that.
You're like, oh my gosh, I need to go check and make sure the hubs is, are you doing that?
Well, and I feel like in the world that we're living in, I feel like it's so easy to like add something to a Target order or like check out on Amazon with the default credit card, which is typically not my business credit card. That's my personal credit card. So I do feel like there's a lot of things like that like in the sake of just like ease and quick, we're moving, we're making decisions, we're doing things. We just like add on, the poster board for this, or we add on the basket.
The Target one is what gets me, because I want my 5% discount with my card, right? And then I'm like, shoot, that was for work. And but I'm like, but I know that, but I still want my 5% discount. So then I have to go submit my receipt for reimbursement. But I have somebody on my team who does that now. I don't have to do it.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other thing that might come up for people sometimes, just around this whole like, is this a business expense or is this a personal expense? I think there is a little bit of a mindset issue around like, gosh, I want my business to be as profitable and make as much money. And if I keep like saying that travel is business, or if that meal is business, that's just going to make my business look bad. And so I do think that some people are like, oh, I'll just do it personal over here because I want the business numbers to look better over there.
Interesting.
Do you think that happens?
That's not typically the types of clients that we get. They're like, yo, I'm making so much money, and these tax bills, they have got to go. But so I will tell you, I am the type of tax strategist that I actually don't believe in like running out and buying a car at the end of the year so that it can be a write-off. I hate that. I think that's poor planning, actually. Yeah. I also am not the type of tax strategist who is going to get you down to zero or a loss through tax strategy. And true story, I have fixed a lot of those from tax strategists who have just ruined a company's profitability. What I would tell someone in that specific situation that you described is remember that if you don't deduct it, you're paying taxes on it, right? If you pay for it personally instead of your business, you are paying probably somewhere between 30 to 40% of it towards taxes. So for every $100 that you decide to just pay for it personally so that your business looks better, you're losing $300 to $400 of that back to the government. Okay. So that's my first thing. The second thing is there are seasons where maybe you do need to look a little bit more profitable. Are you trying to sell your business? Are you trying to buy a home or buy a car? And so you do need your income to look a little bit higher. Okay, let's talk about, do we cut some expenses? Do we maybe move some expenses that are marginal that have been like, okay, we're going to make that a business expense. Maybe we make it a personal expense temporarily. There are things like that that you can do. And I'm not saying that I don't think you should use tax strategy to get down to zero. And there's a lot of marketing gimmicks around that you see on the interwebs about like pay zero taxes. And I'm not really a fan of that, because I do think that you need to be able to show income. And it's already so difficult to get loans when you are self-employed and you don't have a paycheck that you get every week, month, whatever. So I would say like put it on there. The other thing, Becky, that I would say is put it on there throughout the year, because it's easier to take it off at the end of the year than to go back and find it when you're like, oh shoot, I have a huge tax bill. Where are all of the expenses? It's harder to go find expenses at tax time than to say, I think we should take that off. That was like half personal, and I want the business to look better.
You can adjust it later on. Yeah.
If you're working with someone who understands what you're adjusting, yes. Okay, tread lightly doing it yourself, though, please.
Yeah. Yes. So when do you think is the right time for someone to, really start thinking about tax strategy? Because I think for many people, they're like, this is something I've never done before. Is it after they've hit a certain amount of revenue, or after they've been in business for a certain number of years? What kind of threshold would you recommend of like, when does this really start mattering for people?
I think the minute you have a profitable business. And I think that we are seeing a rise in women-owned businesses. We are seeing a rise in profitable women-owned businesses. I've been trying to pull some statistics. These statistics are hard to get, especially when it's been a while since the U.S. has done a census. But there are statistics that show that women actually have more profitable businesses than men. And I think that the minute that you are profitable, which again means that after you deduct your expenses, you have money left over. That's when you need to start thinking about it. And you don't need to go crazy with what you see on social media. You don't need to run out and buy a car and things like that. But the most basic tax strategies that you can start with is tracking your income and expenses so that you're not missing out on deductions at the end of the year. And then it's also making your estimated quarterly tax payments, because if you don't, you will get a penalty and interest bill in April, because the IRS doesn't want you to wait until April. They don't let you wait until April. And so those are two things that you're like, Kimberly, those aren't tax strategies. Yes, they are. And you can do them on your own, right? You don't have to pay somebody like me $15,000 or more a year to tell you. Those are things that you can handle on your own. And then from there, once you've got those two things handled, then you can start saying, okay, what deductions am I missing? What am I not paying attention to? What could I be turning into a business expense from a personal expense? And then we start getting into what I consider the complex strategies and, where you want to be working with a human tax strategist.
I love that. Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like for the majority of our audience, they're just stepping into this. And I think the timing is perfect because, like you said, they might not be at the point that they're like, okay, I have $15,000 to invest in a tax strategist to have in my back pocket all year long. Yeah. But tell us a little bit more about TaxMove, because I know this is a new software that you have created and launched. So I want to hear like what it is and who is it for?
Yeah. So for 4 years now, I have been having this desire to help business owners that aren't at that multi-six-figure mark, right? And because the reality is I've had to turn a lot of those business owners away. And I hate that because I'm like, they are trying to do the right thing. They are trying to stay on top of their taxes. They are trying to make sure that they're not overpaying. And I don't have a solution for them that won't bankrupt my business at the same time, right?
Sure.
So I kind of put it on hold because I just didn't know what to do. But the desire in my heart never left to help those business owners that are like in the $25,000 to $75,000 profit range, which is the majority of business owners in the US, right? And remember, that's you if you get a 1099 NEC, if you identify as a freelancer, a contractor, anyone like that. And so I don't know what caused me to have this epiphany. And I actually don't like technology, if I'm being just so honest with you, Becky. I don't like it. But I kind of put my comfort aside and I started working with my husband, who's a genius, and I started coding. And I was like, okay, let me tell you what I do next. Because like we were kind of talking about, there's a little bit more of a roadmap that we take when you're making a little bit less. And here's my take on this is, if your business is making $60,000 in net income every year, which is about $5,000 a month, and that serves your family, and you're there to pick up your kids from the bus every day, and you take every Friday off, and you're at the pool, you do you. And you may not have a desire to earn 7 figures or 8 figures or some of the ridiculous things that we see on social media, but you still deserve to have access to reliable, accurate, qualified tax strategy that you can be implementing in your business. And so that's truly what TaxMove was born out of. The idea that it only gives you one move at a time. Because like if you've ever like Googled like, what should I write off in my business? Google gives you like a bajillion things and you're like, okay, but like which one do I start with?
Yeah.
Which ones apply to my business? Which ones are not going to have the IRS knocking at my door, right? You're like, and then you just kind of close out the tab because you're like, that was a bad idea. That was a bad idea. Too much. Yeah. So TaxMove just gives you one tax move at a time. It checks, it has eligibility questions that it asks you and it walks you through to say, okay, yes, you know, we suggested this based on what numbers and data you gave us, but now we want to check, you know, compliance. It also has the ability to tell you how much you should set aside each month into your tax savings account so that when the estimated taxes come due, you've got the money sitting there, but not too much, not too little, but not too much. And then it's telling you exactly what you need to pay each quarter, right? Because remember, as a earner, a direct seller, you are responsible for paying quarterly taxes. And so many business owners have come to me, Becky, saying, I didn't pay it because I didn't know what to pay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, anything would have been better. 500, 1,000, 50, like anything. And they're like, it's just, they don't even know where to begin. And so now we're just taking all of that off of their plate. If they're wondering, is this a deduction? Should I be deducting this? We have our deduction discovery tool. It's a proprietary tab in there that walks you through 212 different deductions that you maybe and probably can be taking in your business. And so it was really designed for that business owner that thinks I'm too small. Like I don't make enough to warrant needing tax help, but you do. Because the truth is that when you're in that range of income, you need it more than ever. And every dollar that you get to keep in your pocket is a larger percentage of money that you get to keep. And so that's why it's here. That's why I'm woefully going out of my comfort zone to be bold and to share it, because it's really not about me. I've done the coding. I've sat behind the computer for as long as I possibly can, giving it my brain and my knowledge and my education and my hands-on expertise. And now it's time to put it out there so that it can change lives for business owners, and that includes direct sellers.
That is incredible. I mean, what a creative way to find a great solution for a challenge that so many people are having that maybe they didn't even realize they were having. And so just bringing that education, that awareness, and then making it accessible for people that are, again, not making multi-six figures, but know that they need a little bit of help in this department. So tell us where they can go to take their free tax savings assessment and learn more from you.
Yeah. So if you go to taxmove.io, you can access our free tax savings calculator. It will tell you an estimate of what you are likely overpaying, and then it will walk you through, give you a free 7-day trial inside of TaxMove. And then after that, it's $147 a month. And so I was very strategic when I was designing it and ensured that I kept it. You know, we live in this day and age in the year 2026 where like you can't just go buy a car that's going to get you from point A to point B. I just want a car that's going to have a seatbelt. It's going to have air conditioning. It's going to have a good engine. And I live in the South, so air conditioning's important. But like, I just want to be able to drop my kids off at school. I want to be able to take them to swim lessons. We don't have screens in the back of our car. I don't need all this fancy stuff that's quite honestly just going to break, and it's driving up the price of a car. And now you can't even get a car for what? Like, it's hard to get a car for less than $30,000. And it's like, but I just need a frame. And so that's the exact approach that I had to like rein myself in when I was creating TaxMove, because I'm like, they don't need all the bells and whistles. What they need is something that's going to meet them where they're at right now, and whether they want to get to the next level or they are so happy with exactly where they are right now. TaxMove serves that need and fulfills that gap right now.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Okay, we're definitely going to link to that in the show notes so everyone can go take a peek and do their. I mean, how fun is that to do a tax savings assessment? To be
and it's really easy. Yeah, and it's not a lot of questions. Like, don't stress over it. I think it's like 5 or 6 questions total.
Okay.
And I've really tried to design TaxMove where it pays for itself. Like the savings, right? Like $147 a year, I think is like $1,700, give or take $1,800.
Yeah.
I know, and our average user so far is saving $7,261. That's our average user savings right now. Like, I want it to pay for itself. Forget like the peace of mind. Forget like that you know exactly how much to pay each quarter and that you're logging all your payments. Like, yes, the peace of mind is priceless, but in theory and so far in execution, it's actually saving you more dollars than what it's costing you.
Oh, I love the ROI. Love it. Yeah. I love it.
Return on investment. For anybody who doesn't know ROI, return on investment. Return on investment.
Well, before we wrap up, any last words on just what you'd want somebody to take away from this episode today, even if they're one of those people that are like, tax strategy is not my typical podcast topic I'd listen in on. What do you want them to take away?
Yeah, I think I want your listeners, Becky, to take away that even if you identify as a direct seller, you've never pictured yourself as a business owner. I really hope that this episode has like changed your eyes and your mindset around the fact that it's like, yeah, I am a business owner. I'm doing the dang thing. And because I'm doing the dang thing, that means that the tax code was written for you as a business owner. Like, use it to your advantage. And if you don't know how, find somebody or a software or a solution that can help you do that, because I don't think that you should sleep on it, because I believe that you've built a profitable business and you shouldn't let taxes unravel it.
I love it. Yeah. Oh, so good, Kimberly.
So good.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me and having this conversation.
Such a fun conversation. And I don't think we scared anyone away talking about taxes or money.
That's what look,
I feel like we're winning.
We are winning. And it's so funny you say that, because I was always like collecting testimonials for like our website, our clients and stuff. And I was like, I need to collect speaking testimonials, because like I would pitch to talk about this at conferences, events as a guest expert. And I was like, I don't really want that topic. And I'm like, no, I am not a dry CPA. Like, you need me to come talk about
I'm
this.
I'm a fun one.
Fun. It's anybody who's like Mean Girls movie airs like, I'm a cool mom.
Right.
Not your average mom. I'm a cool mom. I'm a cool CPA.
I'm following you. I'm following you on that reference. Well, thank you again for being here. I hope you have a great day. Bye.